The weather was cloudy and squally, as it often is this time of year. The sun would only occasionally peer through the clouds. Looking at the breaking waves, we decided we don't really feel like dealing with the outside swell, but not to be too stationary, and for a change of view, we moved a whopping half a mile around the corner. With the new views duly appreciated, it was time to tick off a project. I wanted to fix the wobbliness of my laptop's display for some time now. Quick fix, I told myself. Easy project. Just tighten some screws, right? Well, not exactly. After opening it up, I found that I procrastinated on it too long, and it was no longer a case of loose screws, but a total disintegration of the plastic holding them. Thus, to pay for my tardiness, now I needed to proceed with a full reconstruction. Before we started cruising, among many other things, I used to work in computer repair. I guess I'm a bit rusty, but I dusted off my skills and got to work. Back in the day, as I was working for one of the major computer companies, I would usually be provided with spare parts, so most of the repairs involved only exchanging them. My computer is a Pinebook, which, as I mentioned before, is an open source community project. This means that all the spare parts and schematics are easily available, which is awesome.
Bardzo dobry tam jest ten podkład moim zdaniem do tego, żeby to epoksą tam wziąć za...
Still, it felt a bit silly to waste so much time and resources to get one plastic part all the way to Panama, when we could fix it with what we had on board. Especially that it's already Frankensteined a bit, with a charging board from an old power bank soldered in by Bartek when it started having problems with charging. Life on a boat in salty and humid environment is not easy on electronics. Did I mention I'm a bit rusty? A piece of unsolicited advice: when working with delicate electronics, the take a bigger hammer approach rarely works. It's better to go with gentle prying and careful observation and analysis. Then you have the chance to figure out it's actually a completely different type of plug than you initially thought before you break anything. Fortunately, I learned that lesson before, so this was just a bit embarrassing. After getting out the screws and all the plastic debris, It was time for the multifunction magic of packing and butyl tape, which was used to create a kind of protective dam so the epoxy would not spill out on everything. All the crevices in the plastic were actually perfect, as they would give the epoxy a bigger surface area to stick to. Both hinges were covered with resin thickened with thinly chopped fiberglass to give it additional strength. I had a slight moment of panic.
Stabilizacja robi dźwięki i nie byłam pewna, czy to stabilizacja, czy epoksy.
If you ever mix too much epoxy, you know exactly what I mean.
Jak pomóc ci z tą końcówką, to daj znać, nie? Wewnętrzne śrubki.
It wasn't. The hinge just needed a little bit more persuasion. With Bartek's help, we managed to close both hinges without breaking anything additional.
Pamiętaj, żeby było miejsce na kabel, nie? On tam kompletnie leżał na tym i też żeby do gniazdka było, nie?
As we used the miraculous slow-curing epoxy, we gave it ample time to cure properly before putting any stress on the fix. And it's still holding really well. Next day, we picked up the anchor and yet again headed south. This time we aimed for Waisaladup. The wind came and went, but all in all, it was a nice sail. As for the purpose of the move, you know the drill. Internet, veggies, and such.
O, free fall! Oho!
This time though, there was also the additional reason of meeting up with our lovely friends who arrived the next day. To escape the brutal midday sun, we hid inside. While I focused on editing, Bartek tackled the task of upgrading our DIY autopilot setup into a little bit more permanent arrangement. Starting with connecting the power supply cables.
Już nagrywa, tak?
Tak, teraz nagrywa.
Że jest na środku?
Mniej więcej. Trochę jest niżej niż środek, ale jest okej.
Że widać, co wkręcam.
Mniej więcej, no.
No to rewelacja.
To divide and conquer, we decided to arm Bartek with the action cam.
Nie. Nie, tu gdzie trzeba, nic nie mówisz.
One way we make our living is fixing displays on nav instruments. So by now we've opened and analyzed enough of them to know it doesn't really matter if it's Raymarine, B&G or any other company. At the core they are all the same. And sadly, it has absolutely nothing to do with designing a solid, durable and sustainable product. On the contrary, profit at all cost and planned obsolescence is the name of the game. So, not wanting to support these practices with our hard-earned money, Bartek came up with a different solution. Instead, we use an Arduino relay board that is connected to an ESP32 that in turn connects to our boat terminal, also known as a phone, which has all the necessary sensors like a magnetometer, and runs the neural net that tells the relays how to steer the electric ram. Our ram is actually one of these companies' product, but it could as well be any electric motor set up to move your steering. We simply had this one on board. The parts are cheap, the software Bartek wrote is free and open source, so all you need to build one is a bit of effort on your part. Oh, and anything with a browser becomes a display. If you're interested, we will link the wiki page in the description. And if anything is unclear, there are options to leave us questions. We'll do our best to help out. All that was left to do was a bit of cable management. Not very professional, but hey, if it works, it works. The following day, we had the veggies, all necessary communications with the outside world were handled, and as our friends were planning to head to Hollandes, we decided to head back there too. I know, we are so predictable. We just keep orbiting between Cayos Holandeses and Isla Verde. But what can I say? We like them. A lot. With the sails up and the dishes done, it was time to again try some fishing. But I guess we all know the outcome of that one. Don't we? One day we'll catch something. One day. Oh, we also tried out a new dinghy stowing solution when the wind and waves picked up a bit. But though okayish and a sudden need to pull it up, I don't think it's going to be our go-to arrangement. We arrived just to find out that we would have to move again, and a bit further. But more about that next time.